and all my self-care and silence and like now I'm going to take the retreat and go away and listen doesn't seem to bring the still small voice back. Welcome to listening to The Still Small Voice. I'm Jennifer, your host, the Still Small Voice Whisperer. Thank you for joining me today. I am hoping this podcast gets you thinking, intuiting, listening, and maybe even acting on your still small voice. Hi everyone, I'm Jennifer, and I'm all about listening to the still small voice. Today we're going to talk about the different ways and tools out there for what I call still small voice whispering. Most of these tools are usually categorized like under relaxation or flow or self-care, all the journaling things and the bath things and, just being kind to yourself. But there have been times in my life with no matter how much relaxation or meditation or silence and solitude I get, the still small voice isn't there. It doesn't show up. I have found that this usually occurs after a time period of high stress and anxiety, where I shut myself down for weeks and months on end, just to get whatever the job or jobs are done. I do this way more than I wish I would, even though I know better. And all my self-care and silence and like now I'm going to take the retreat and go away and listen doesn't seem to bring the still small voice back. And that's when I've realized that the still small voice always has something to say, just might not want to say it. And this can be downright exasperating, right? When I'm all relaxed and connected and ready to listen, I get nothing. When I'm in that shutdown, I just need to get the job done, I'll talk to you later. Well, that's when it loves to tell me all the things, and especially the things I don't want to hear. I don't know, does this sound like anyone else's daily relationships with the people they love and care about? Anybody? Is it just me? Raising my hand. Okay, maybe it's just me. And I'm someone who loves solitude and silence and self-care, love being alone. But I know I can't always necessarily use it as a way to hear from the still small voice. If I ask it a question and it doesn't come back with the Twizzlers that when I press the A8 button or the you may rely on it from the Magic 8-Ball, again, not a vending machine relationship. No relationship should be a vending machine relationship, yet I still find myself being like, all right, this is my meditation time, tell me what's up. But as I said before, questions and dialogue are important. I know sometimes I'm not going to get an answer. Maybe the still small voice has something else in mind for me. Maybe it's a time that that the still small voice needs to retreat. Doesn't everybody need to get away? Maybe it knows I'm being stubborn and it just hopes I'm going to drop whatever I'm trying to press on it. And I'm sure that the still small voice feels the same way about me some days. And maybe, like me, it takes time to think and process before speaking. I personally have challenges and issues with some of the more obvious questions that use for what people say as a way to find your passion or live your dream or get connected with the source within you. I'm rolling my eyes and snorting over here, just so you know. And my favorite, which really just makes me want to scream. If there's nothing else I do in my life, I want to stop this ridiculous question. What would you do if money were no object? Or what would you do if you had to spend $1 million? Or if you had all the time in the world and everything was taken care of, what would you do? Okay. I'm going to argue that those three questions are pretty damn surface level. They don't ask us to dig deep into ourselves. And they're likely not all that interesting to the still small voice, to your soul. I'm pretty sure that it kind of sits surface level. I know that they're intended to try to find a way to dig into our inner dreams and longings and what you would do if all you had to do was live your passion. But I feel like these questions are kind of coming at us with a baseball bat. Tell me what you long for now or I'm going to beat you up. It doesn't matter how long I sit with them or take them lightly or play with them or think about them throughout the day. They just make me want to scream. And I just wish people would stop asking that. Because, as I mentioned in an earlier episode, we are multifaceted beings with multiple interests and roles in life. And things change so fast. And what was relevant to me one day seems, completely insane to me the next. What in the world was I thinking? Instead of those, though, I'm not going to leave you don't do that. Instead of that, I find that small questions with that less let's flip your life upside down and the less baseball bat impact are way more relevant. But not only are they way more relevant, they're way more useful because they're more likely to be answered. These seem mundane and unexciting, of course, but let's be real. It's way easier to decide which sandwich you want for lunch than a career path or a life partner. Just let's not kid ourselves. And I'll say this until my dying day, that it's the small, everyday choices that move you along. Totally random example. You decide to stop at a different grocery store on the way home from work and pick up dinner. You decide on that wonderful rotisserie chicken that's ready to go. And for some reason that pops into your mind a certain movie. And you decide to watch that movie that night, and a line catches your interest, or an actor, or maybe the location, and you look at it differently. And all of a sudden you're thinking about how you could go to that place, or you're researching the actor or that interest and trying to see what that's all about. And these are the small questions and the steps that get you to hear and trust the still small voice, to trust yourself. We've mentioned how the still small voice is so easily overwhelmed and unheard, sometimes defeated. Because if you didn't listen that you wanted the roast beef sandwich over the turkey sandwich, how are you going to hear that taking that job or going for that career path isn't the right thing for you? So small questions have you looking at your entire life in small pieces at a time. Again, because big, hairy, scary is exactly that. Hairy, scary, nobody wants that. And you can look at these small pieces through different lenses. So it is a more well-rounded view of your entire life. And it has you taking what is seemingly the most boring, routine, mundane questions in routine, red wine or white wine, fish or chicken, clean the house, watch Netflix, and using those choices as a key that unlocks the door for who you are. Big, I'm going to make the decision right now based on this amazing weekend retreat away from my daily reality. Probably not practical. It may be practical, but it may not be practical. Just asking, how many of those big, amazing life decisions on retreat have you followed through on? And if you have, how'd that work out? Let me know. Because we know that vacation and retreat without everyday responsibilities, they're not real life. It's not real life. And the still small voice is interested in real life just as much, if not more, than your vacation retreat pseudo life. It's interested in the fully lived 340 odd days a year that contain the bills and the mortgage and the partner, or the fact that there is no partner, the kids, or the fact that there is no kids, the parental figures, the kooky friends, the challenging coworkers, and the dog that keeps getting sick for no reason, right? Asking those big questions and trying to answer them, of course, is your best bet to actually get a semblance of an answer, is to do it away from your daily life. If you're going to answer the what would you do if you had $1 million, doing it away from your daily life, probably better, because let's be real, you probably can't answer them in the few minutes before your morning meeting. So when you can and do answer them, it might be useful, but it also might be totally out of touch. Again, you're on vacation away from daily life. And these big kind of questions can have consequences. It usually doesn't work out like the stories we see on a regular basis. You know the storyline. Hero makes one big change, everything is fixed, and life is different. Ta-da, wrapped up in a little bow. Okay. Every once in a while you might make a big change that upends your life because it's time and you do it. But that's only because when you look in the background, and nobody ever puts this part of movies because it's boring and nobody would watch it. In the background of these seemingly big changes, there's usually many, if not hundreds of thousands of other little decisions that help propel this big, quote-unquote, massive change into being. What looks like a big, massive step to the outside world usually seems like the next logical step to you, like going to the dentist when you have an appointment or taking a shower when you're covered in mud. The stories we tell are made a decision and it happened. We usually don't see those couple years, couple decades, lifetime along the way, or the huge failures, or the friends leaving, or the family leaving along the way that is a huge part of that quote-unquote big change. We just don't see that. So, all this to say, yes, take the vacation, go on the retreat, answer the big questions if you don't feel like they're a baseball bat. Please, if it calls to you, I just won't be there with you. But if it doesn't call to you, you don't want to answer those questions, or can't answer them, or don't even want to try, you're not doomed from making changes and living out your full self in life and having this interaction with your still small voice. These small questions can get you there just as easily, naturally, and effortlessly. And you might not even realize you're doing. That's my favorite thing to do, is to do it, to figure out a way that I'm doing it without me knowing what I'm doing it. That's, to me, the easiest way to question and work with what I want to do in life. Who do I want to be? What is my soul telling me? What is my soul not telling me? It's way easier to decide what sandwich to eat today, or decide when to have lunch, or to decide to meet a friend, than it is to be like, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? Big scary question. Why make it hard on yourself? Life can be hard enough. Make it easy on yourself. And remember that whenever we see those stories of these big, amazing, massive life changes, they've got to be put in a movie for an hour and a half, and the book has to be written, and it has to be inspirational. So it's usually some parts along the way probably were left out. Just remember that, just in case you needed a reminder that we're all making our own stuff up and we only hear what people want us to see. Tag back to another episode not too long ago. So this is the end of season 2. I just wanted to come along and share with you some thoughts about the still small voice after season 1, which I still kind of want to leave out there and be like, this is all you need. But I do want to talk more about what the still small voice means for other people. So next season, I'm looking at talking to some other people. They probably will be friends and family, or maybe quoting some people if I can't get them to talk with me, because most of my people are introverts, because I'm an introvert. It may or may not work for them, but I'd like to be more in a dialogue about the fact that this is not something we can define. This is not something we're ever going to be able to define. There is never a cookie cutter way to get through these things and to be ourselves. It doesn't work that way. The only thing I can say is to listen to soul, source guidance, the still small voice within you. But again, as we all know, that's not as easy as like, I'm listening and I'm doing and I'm done. So we're going to talk about those nuances, talk about the realities of the world. We're going to keep unpacking it and looking at it differently and in different ways and looking at it from different lenses. And I'm just excited about the possibilities, because this is your life, and you have every reason to be looking at it from a gazillion different angles and a gazillion different ways to be who you came here to be. Until next season, everyone, thank you so much for listening, and keep listening to that still small voice. Welcome to listening to The Still Small Voice. I'm Jennifer, your host, the Still Small Voice Whisperer. Thank you for joining me today. I am hoping this podcast gets you thinking, intuiting, listening, and maybe even acting on your still small voice.